best you're gonna get. But here's the barge. There's a fishing trawler. And look, it's the Taj Mahal. With a big pyramid in the sky. The barge will never see the Taj Mahal again. And I've been running all day. It's pretty cold out here. Haven't been inside yet. The ocean was pretty flat though, I have to admit it. I'm running into a little traffic here. So I'm going to stop this video. When I get home, when I get into port, I'm going to fuel up and call Mom. As you can see, that's the Taj Mahal. That's a lighthouse. There's the flagship. It's December 7th. And I'm full speed coming out of Atlantic City, going 3 feet a second because I'm bucking the tide. I'm a real rocket scientist. I should have got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and left. That won't happen again. For this morning's little daily adventure. As you can see, it's not the end of the adventure. The seas are about 3 feet out here. The wind's going against me. The tide's going against me. I don't know what else could go against me, but I'm pretty fucked out here. If I turn back, I'll be here till Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see what happens in the next half hour. Fucking Sin City. through some of the worst ocean I ever seen on this barge. Waves are going from stem to stern. Just to give you an idea, which you can't get an idea from this. But I was hitting some 6 and 7, 8 footers. Wave washed that piece of steel 3 feet over from the cleat. This will go down in the journals as one of my stupid tricks. Because it was stupid. The Coast Guard was following me for over an hour with a chopper. And who knows what they're going to produce next time I see them. The motor's held up good. Now I'm going into the Intercoastal, but I know I'm going to run into problems inside too, because I can't get through in a lot of places. It's only 5 feet. So I'll have to go with the tides on that until I get to Cape May. Don Strock, I wish you were here with me right now. I could have used you as a sea anchor. Nicholas, when I get to the Bahamas, when I get to Miami, you will see what I went through to bring this barge to you, and I hope you appreciate it. That's it until my next little trick. One more thing, just to give you an idea how rough it was out there. The log that you see here was up there when I started, and one of the waves apparently washed it back across down the deck when it moved that piece of steel over from the cleat. I can't say that it wasn't exciting, but it would have been exciting enough without all of that nonsense going on. The weather report said that the winds were 5 to 8. The weather report said the winds were 5 to 8, and with some 9 and 10s happening in between. And when I left port this morning from Atlantic City, it said that the winds were going to come out of the southwest at 10 to 15 knots, but that didn't happen because there were 30-mile-an-hour winds with gale warnings, and it was just a mess. I'm going to sign off now until I get underneath that bridge over there. That's the entrance to the Intercoastal. Hopefully I'll be able to follow that to Cape May with the tides. And when I get out of Cape May, who knows what's going to happen there. Only the Lord knows that, folks. Certainly putting me through some ringers today. But I shall overcome. The Taj Mahal. Yeah, there's the Taj Mahal. Donald Trump, I feel real bad about Marla leaving you. to have you out there for a sea anchor to keep my stern to the back of the wind. You told me I'd have enough water the whole way, Don. And so far, I'm 100 miles further than I wanted to be. Haven't seen the bay yet. Today be the first time I tried Intercoastal. The first 70 miles that I should have been able to go in were absolutely unnavigable. Oh, Captain Don. Captain Don, do you know what happens to people who lie? You go straight to hell. This here is Ocean City, and the reason why they call it Ocean City is because all the houses are built on the ocean, I guess. So I know that for a fact. That's the 9th Street Basquiat Bridge. That's the 9th Street Basquiat Bridge. This is fun. Well, I'm at buoy marker 315. It's the lowest tide of the year. I got the tide against me, which you can see from that piling. The sun is directly in my eyes. about 10 miles an hour against me too. The only thing I got going for me is it's about 70 degrees. And it's a nice dry heat. And there's nobody around to see the mess I'm making. This is terrible. These little buoy markers, intercoastal buoy markers, meander around in circles, basically. You might go 5 miles on the markers and go 1 nautical mile along the shore in certain places, maybe 2 at best. They dog leg in and out, up and down, sideways. It's an amazing system. This damn canal should have been cut 12, 15 feet deep so that people can navigate through it. There are parts that say 3 feet at low tide, and I'm hitting them at 2 feet on the sides. My barge is bottoming out. This is when I could use you, Don, too. I could use you now a lot. Instead of being a sea anchor like when I was out in the ocean, I could use you to push the barge along the shore, put a chain around you, a nice 2-inch link chain, and then you could drag me along the marshes. And when you get between me and a pole, you could swim out to the middle of the canal, run around the pole, and then run back to shore so you can get traction. You deceitful individual. Well, I guess you can see I'm not happy with you, Don. I don't mind being lied to, but when someone outright deceives me, knowing all full well that that's what they're doing, I don't look very kindly upon it. I'll see you soon, though. I'll tell you right to your face. That I was stuck in all night. The batteries went dead. The alternator stopped working. It started to rain. The wind and the tide were against me, and I was grounded in 3.5 feet of water. And I know it wouldn't be a problem, but I wouldn't have went this way, but it's supposed to be 3.5 feet of water at low tide. But good old Ludlam Bay, New Jersey, asshole of the world, the chart was wrong, and it was 3.5 foot of water at high tide. So what I did was almost cry, basically. I tried every which way to move the dirt, pull away from the dirt. I did everything that I knew how to do to get out of that mess, and I couldn't get out. Finally, with the batteries dead, I mean so dead that the radio wouldn't go on, that only draws a milliamp. In the pouring rain, being soaking wet, one of the engines stalled and the batteries were stone dead. That was it. I cleaned up, went to my sleeping bag, and when I got into my sleeping bag, I just prayed. That's basically what I did. I needed to get out of here. In the morning, when I woke up, it was pouring. I laid in bed until 7 o'clock. I went back to sleep. I had a dream about my dad in like a wheelchair, an electric wheelchair, but he could do flips with it, and he was jumping on and off the barge from the dock. And a gypsy woman with white skin who gave me a flower, but it was more like a piece of coral, round coral leaf. I don't know, that was strange, and asked me up. And when I woke up, it was a little bit not less cloudy and it had stopped raining. I walked around on the barge and I said, let me try this motor. And it started. One started. I said, this is it, it's a sign. I checked the depth, it was the same as when I went to sleep. By the time I got the other one, the other motor started. By the time I got the other motor started, I had a foot more tide than I did when I went to sleep. Welcome to the aisle. Yeah, I second the motion. Spinnakers. Needless to say, with a foot more water, the wind at my back instead of against me as it was all day yesterday, a foot more water, and being able to see the buoys a little bit better, because I couldn't see anything. I had to reflect the flashlight off them and the batteries were dead. I pulled out of Woodland Bay sometime around 10 o'clock. That one is going to go down into the annals of history, folks. Woodland Bay. Till my next meeting. By the way, that was buoy 348, 3.5 feet of water marked for low tide, and it's 3.5 feet of water at high tide. Have a nice day. Bob, this part's for you. You wanted to see the kind of stuff that you see along this intercoastal waterway. This is the kind of thing, these are little towns. Right along the waterway. Right now I'm writing down in the journal. And get ready to, I'll send it to you the next time I come to a... Well, I've had better days and I have had worse. As you can see, that bolt on the right hand side is inhibiting me from going to bed. It's about 4 o'clock, the 8th of December. I don't know why Stephen changed the dates around on this, but I'll change them back in a little while. And that's the pot that the water's dripping into, which would be about right where my shoulder, left or right, would be if I were to be able to go to sleep. But somehow or another I'm going to figure this out too. That just started today. This is the dashboard and some of my supplies. It's the instrumentation. And that's the tripod, garbage pail, steering mechanism, throttle, and here we have the essentials. There's food and clothes and a radiator when I get 110 volts. Boy, did I screw up. I should have took the diesel generator. Could have used that twice. Light at night in case the batteries go dead, which happened last night. Light in case the batteries work, which they're working now again. And that's in the journal I wrote down that this place needs to be straightened out. It's hard to drive the barge. That old first aid kit's from the Lily and Rose. I don't know if you could see it. Sure you can. I guess that's Dad's handwriting from 25 years ago. That flag looks like I feel. tattered. There's my mirror, in case I want to shave, which hasn't been the case as of yet. This is what my hands look like after 5 days on the barge. It's hard to describe, but it's not real easy keeping them clean when you have them in diesel and fuel oil and transmission fluid, crankcase oil, battery acid. They just don't they're just hard to keep clean. What could I say? Right now I'm sitting out here by buoy 386. I'm grounded. I've had better days, but I've had worse. All in all, I have to say it was a good day, because the batteries, somehow or another, the batteries came back online. The alternator wasn't fried. I found the wire shorted, and I found that the battery terminal, one of the connections, was loose. But the wire, weight of the wire, pulled the terminal on the alternator down, and it shorted out on its own housing. That was fun. That I found out last night about 10 o'clock while I was grounded at buoy 348. It's raining pretty good out there. I really didn't feel like going on anymore because the tide was against me. The wind finally came to my back, but all I did was blow diesel fumes in my face. For the last 4 hours I've been sucking up diesel fumes. So I'm going to take a break until about 7 o'clock, and after I get that roof fixed, I'm going to see if I can take a nap. Been an interesting experience so far. This is day 5. I'm probably about 200 miles or 180 miles from the house. Considering the obstacles that I've went through, it's not so bad. But I'd still like to use Don Strock as a sea anchor. And I'm going to tell him that when I see him. Don, you lied to me. Not only did you lie to me, you deceived me. Not only did you deceive me, you intentionally deceived me, and you intentionally lied to me. I guess that's how you make a living, huh? Sad. In any event, everything's working okay. I can't get the coordinates punched into the LORAN. I don't know if it's the coaxial cable or the antenna might be, it's 10 years old, but it should work. The radio works fine. I guess there's not much more to say. I'm having a good trip so far. At the end of each day when I go to sleep, I realize that it wasn't such a bad day after all. And I have no trouble sleeping. None whatsoever. This is what's happened to the rain gear in the last 2 or 3 days. It's frayed. It was dry, and from wearing it and working with it, it kind of frayed. I think I'll sell it for half price when I get to Florida. And it's coming off now. I'm not sure how much time is left on the tape. I need to get some coat hangers in here. That'll work just in case. This is a lovely aspect. The back of the head part of the rain gear, when it rains real hard, it penetrates right through that little hole there, and it goes right down your neck. The cuffs are wet. Right now I'm probably just babbling. Mom's worried about me. Dad's coming home from the hospital today. I stopped to get fuel in Ingram, Delaware, I think. I don't know what state I'm in. I have no idea where I am. This chart only tells you what buoy mark you're at. I'm at 386 on the 386 on the Intercoastal. I have no idea where I am. I know that south would be that way, and that's the way eventually I'm going to head as soon as the weather clears up. Rain ceased. It's been doing that all day. I think that's just about it. That covers it. I'm using a lot more fuel than I had anticipated. To go, let's say, the first couple of days I was getting about 2 gallons to the mile. Then yesterday hitting that storm out in the ocean that I showed you, and then going against the tide and the wind in the intercoastal, and having the prop up at a 45-degree angle, I used 4 gallons to the mile. So it's just as well that I'm stuck now because I was going against the tide anyway. So I might just as well, the money that I burn up with the fuel, I might as well just save that money and take an extra couple of days. Well, that's about it. I think I'm gonna go to sleep now. See you later. Yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to say. For those of you who live your life vicariously through others, I feel sorry for you. Because if you really want to know what living life is, try taking a 30 by 50 foot barge with a single screw from New York to Florida in the middle of December. By yourself through the shitty navigational system that we have, dealing with the wind, the tide, and the weather, and then you'll really know what life is like when it's lived. Because when you go at the end of the day and you realize all that you accomplished, it's a pretty trippy experience. Just last night I wrote down that last night I was going against the tide, going against the current in 5 and 6 feet of water. Half the time I was pushing the barge backwards by spinning the prop 180 degrees from stem to stern and pulling myself through the thing. And then when I hit buoy marker 348, I got grounded. Then the lights in the cabin dimmed and the spotlights dimmed. So when I took my flashlight downstairs to go look to see why they dimmed, I found that the batteries were discharged when I tested it with the voltmeter. And as I was fixing that, my batteries in my flashlight went dead. Then I got my other flashlight and those batteries went dead. Now I had a choice whether or not to keep the barge running or shut the barge off. If I kept it running and went to sleep and blew a fuel line or a hose, I'd blow the motor. So we couldn't do that. If I shut it off, probably wouldn't get it started. And then I'd have to wait for a jump. It's not summer. It's not warm anymore. It's down in the 40s. It's not like you're in the middle of anything. You're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. There's nothing but marshes around here. I saw one boat pass me yesterday in 12 hours of running. The only thing was out all day yesterday was me in a Coast Guard helicopter. And he wanted me to go back in, which he kept trying to tell me by pointing towards the land. And I kept giving him the thumbs up sign. Yes, I understand, but there's 5-foot waves and I need to go to the next port, officer in the helicopter. Wouldn't turn his radio on, couldn't reach him on 16, couldn't reach him on 22. I don't know what was on his mind. What did he want me to do, fly? Anyway, then the engine stalled out last night. Oh, it started to rain after the flashlights were going dead. I put another set of batteries in, and then it started pouring. Then as I was working on the motor, I leaned on the throttle and loaded it down too much, and one of the engines stalled. And I says, that's it. I'm not going to get it running tonight. I just calmly walked over to the other engine, shut it off, and said, I'm going to deal with this when it stops raining. Now, I was nowhere, in the middle of nothing. And all I did, I just went to sleep. And then this morning when I woke up, I did a few things, tried to start a motor, it started up. Put batteries in series, that didn't work. I had the crane battery in series with the big 2 dead ones. But I remembered I had this car Stevens battery from the car buried somewhere. I dug that out and an extra set of jumper cables, hooked up all 4, 2 of them in series, the original ones, and then hooked up 2 more, each individual crane battery and car battery in parallel with the original batteries. And then the other motor, I got the other motor running. And then when I got the other motor running, I tested the alternator again and it was working. And when I disconnected the short, apparently it must have an overload diode in it, and the overload diode cooled off and it went back online. Now I have full batteries. All 4 are fully charged. And now I'm just grounded. Oh, as I was saying, for those of you who want to know what life is like when it's being lived, jump out of a plane, I don't know, go scuba diving, swim with the sharks, or run a barge to Florida by yourself in the middle of December in the North Atlantic. And then you will understand what life is all about. And this will go down in the journals of Things I Know by Michael Fazio. Now we're done. No, I guess now we're not done. One more thing to say. For those of you who don't believe in some kind of higher power, there has to be something that's keeping me going here, because most of you would have gave up a long time ago. I can't imagine anybody else doing what I'm doing. I know people say, oh, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that. You could do GATS. You try it. You tell me how you liked it. 2 people at the 2 docks I poured it into were old-timers. Well, no, one was an old-timer, one was a young guy. There was an old-timer standing there listening. And the first old guy was in his 70s. He says he's been on the docks for 50 years, owned the marina for 50 years, and has never, ever, once, ever seen anybody do what I'm doing. And the other guy just said that I was a little bit nuts, but he probably couldn't do it either. So, for those of you who don't believe in the higher power, all you have to do is look within yourself and you'll find it, because it's there if you want it. Well, these bridges are only 51 feet, and the barge is 32. Plus I have the mat on the side. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, especially being that I got a cross current and a cross wind. I'm going to have to put this camera down to make this one. Let you know how it worked out on the other side. Last night my bedding, my wonderful bedding, got wet from that bolt up there, and I was cold last night. Let me put it to you like that. I wanted to go downstairs and sleep on the motor. I couldn't. I was working in the rain. I got stuck again at 398, buoy 386. All day I spent there. And then I was working in the rain to get out of it. To get out of the off the shoal I was on. And what happened was I didn't have rain gear on, and it started to pour, and I got soaked. Then I couldn't lose the chill. Then after I got into the cabin, I couldn't lose the chill. So I said, there's got to be a way to keep warm on this barge. And there was. You take this light here, that light, and you put it on, and you slip it underneath your jacket and over your shirts, and you put it on your heart. And that light will keep you warm. In 15 minutes, I had to take it off. It was too hot. I figured it out. Of all these jobs I see, there isn't one nice job. Nothing like the ones I built on 95th Street. Although there probably aren't any like that anywhere. I've never seen any. I still do the best work. Well, I'm going to reserve some film for later and some batteries. I'm in Delaware now. I don't know what part of Stone Harbor, Delaware. I'll be looking at Chesapeake City and Chesapeake Bay in about 7 hours. By 4 o'clock this afternoon, I'll be in Chesapeake Bay. It sure is pretty out here, but it's cold, and I want to head a little bit more south because it's going to go down into the 20s tonight. It might be a too late night. Seeing as how I don't have a dog anymore, just might be a too late night. Well, I'll talk to you later. From me there. The current came around a corner underwater, I guess. It just sucked the front of the barge away from me. I guess, Mom, that was a mistake. But it wasn't my fault. It was under the water. I couldn't see it. dirtiest jobs I've ever done in my life. Sandblasting. You guys have a nice... Chesapeake Bay, and it'll bring me into the Cape May Canal. I mean, it leaves Cape May Harbor, and it'll bring me into the Cape May Canal, and that'll bring me to, I don't know, I think it's Virginia. I'm not sure. I never really look until I get there. Tried to get fuel in a couple places, but no one could accommodate the barge. So I'll fuel up when I hit Cape May, Chesapeake Bay. Sounds like I don't know where I'm going. Truth is, I don't look on the map until I get to about 2 miles from where I'm going. This way it's not too confusing. Missed this bridge altogether by a whole canal, but it's here now. Doesn't look like there's much to see. I'm sure Dad's got underneath that one plenty of times. Well, I'll sign off for now. That was a tough one. That's a historical type swing bridge. Really not much you can see. This is the end of the Cape May Canal. I couldn't fuel up at the dock. On the run, I have to siphon gas from one of these containers into this, then carry it upstairs, and then siphon it back down. I didn't get a chance to stop to put oil in the motors. I did that this morning. And then about halfway across the bay, I'll just add a gallon to each motor just to be safe. Those are the ferries that ferry people somewhere. I wish they'd ferry me to Florida. I don't know, it looks like the waves are breaking pretty good out there. If that's the case, I'm just going to turn around and board in for the night. Well, this is what the barge looks like after 6 days. Well, 5 days, and doesn't look that bad. Everything's still intact. This gang box got wasted though the other day. Got a couple of inches of water in it. That's from the waves washing over the front of the barge. We have a little Delaware mud, and this is where I'm going to camp tonight. Right by the Cape May ferry docks. It's pretty nice here, actually. I was going to camp over in that hole over there. There's a nice little cove. And I says, something just don't seem right. And with that, I turned around. The Coast Guard was right up my butt. Anyway, this is real pretty. Tomorrow I'm going to cross the Cape to, I think it brings me to Delaware. I'm not real sure. I know I go out this channel about 1 mile. Just about a mile outside after that breaker, I make a left. And 17 miles later, 17 inches, I mean, 14 miles on the map later, I'm going to be where I'm going to be. I think in Delaware. I don't know.